Subscribe now and level up your mixes. No fluff, just fundamentals.
Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack the code on a kind of secret language, one that producers and engineers use to literally shape how we hear and, more importantly, feel our favorite songs. So let's follow the sound and see where this journey takes us.
Okay, you know this feeling, right? You've got a playlist going, the volume is set just right, but then one track comes on and it hits different. It feels bigger, more powerful, just louder. So what's going on there? How is that even possible? Well, that little mystery is exactly what we're going to unpack today, and the key to all of it is the decibel. All right, so to really get this, we have to follow the journey of a single sound. And that journey, it doesn't start in a fancy studio or inside a computer. Nope, it starts right here, in the physical world, with sound being nothing more than waves of pressure just moving through the air. Now, to measure that raw physical energy, we use a very specific language, decibel sound pressure level, or dBSPL for short. It's basically the universal scale for quantifying everything, from the quietest little whisper to the most deafening roar. It's all about how much pressure those sound waves are actually putting on our eardrums. And just look at the kind of range we're talking about here. A super quiet library, that's sitting around 40 decibels SPL. You and me talking right now is probably somewhere between 60 and 70. But then you're a busy road, you're at 80. A chainsaw just a few feet away, 110. And then at 130, you hit the point where sound literally becomes painful. This is the real physical world of sound. But here's where things get really interesting. The moment we record that sound, its journey takes a massive turn. It leaves our physical world and it gets trapped inside the digital realm. And in this new world, well, the language we use, and more importantly, the rules we have to play by, they change completely. We stop talking about dBSPL and we start using a brand new term, dBFS, which stands for decibels full scale. And the big difference here, the thing you got to remember, is that we're not measuring physical pressure in the air anymore. Now we're measuring the level of a digital signal inside a closed system. And that system has a hard, absolute, uncrossable boundary. So in this new digital world, one number is king, 0. But, and this is crucial, 0 dBFS isn't silence. Nope, it is the absolute opposite. It is the loudest possible point. It is the ceiling, the point of no return, the maximum level a digital system can possibly handle before it just breaks. So what happens if you try to push a signal past that ceiling? Well, you get clipping. The system literally chops the top of the sound off flat, and that creates this awful, crackly, gritty distortion that's, well, it's pretty much useless. This is why you'll always hear engineers talking about leaving headroom. It's like a safety buffer, just below 0 dBFS to make sure they've got room to work. And that work, that's the art of the mix. This is where an engineer takes all those individual recorded tracks, the drums, the bass, the vocals, everything, and starts to sculpt them. They're carefully shaping the amplitude of every single sound to create one clear, powerful song. Think about it this way. You've got a really powerful kick drum and a thick, heavy bass line. They both have a ton of energy in the exact same low frequency space. So if you just jam them together, you get this undefined, muddy mess. I mean, it's literally like trying to stuff an elephant and a hippo into the same tiny room. It's just not going to work. You have to make some space. So how do you make that space? Well, the magic tool for this job, and for controlling amplitude in general, is called a compressor. At its heart, what a compressor does is simple. It reduces the dynamic range of a sound. It squashes the difference between the loudest parts and the quietest parts. But the way it works, it's kind of like a magic trick. Seriously. First, you set a threshold, and any part of the sound that gets louder than that gets automatically turned down. But then, and this is the secret sauce, you use something called makeup gain to turn the entire thing back up. So what's the result? Well, the loud parts are now under control, but the quiet parts, they're now way more audible. The whole track just feels denser, punchier, and way more powerful.
You haven't checked out my free ebook, 100 free plugins. It's a whole list of 100 plugins that you can download for free that I put together throughout the internet. Different websites, put them on an ebook. You can download them for free. Another ebook is my Recording Pro Vocals ebook. It shows you exactly step-by-step how to record vocals, how to pre-mix them, how to send them off if you're gonna artist and you're gonna send them to engineer, or just to be able to export your vocals to be able to put them in a new project to mix and master that. Giving away that ebook for free too, so I might put them in a bundle so you guys could download them all at once. If not, then you guys would just have to do 2 separate downloads. So go check out that ebook.
So this whole idea of a shaping amplitude, it leads us to the final step in making a record, mastering. And oh boy, this is where things got a little crazy for a few decades. This is where the battle for pure loudness was fought. The main weapon in this fight was the brick wall limiter. You can think of it as a compressor on absolute steroids. It's this extreme form of compression that acts just like a brick wall. It lets a mastering engineer crank the overall level of a song up and up and up, making it sound way louder, all without ever causing that nasty digital clipping we talked about.
And that tool, it kicked off what everyone now calls the loudness war. When CDs came out in the 80s, we had all this potential for dynamics. But by the 90s, with these powerful new digital limiters, a full-on arms race began. The thinking was simple. Our ears perceive louder as better, so every record label wanted their song to be the loudest one on the radio or the loudest one on the CD. And it really hit a fever pitch in the 2000s.
But here's the thing. There was a massive downside to all this. That beautiful, breathable space between the loud and quiet moments in a song, the dynamics, it just got completely crushed, all in the name of raw volume. The music actually became tiring to listen to, and it lost its emotional punch. Because think about it, when everything is loud, nothing feels loud anymore.
And then, just when things were at their loudest, an unlikely hero showed up and basically ended the war overnight. And that hero? Streaming platforms. Yep, services like Spotify and Apple Music, they started using a process called loudness normalization, and it changed the entire game.
See, this new approach meant we had to measure things differently. The old way, dBFS, was all about peaks, the absolute loudest single moment in a song. But that doesn't really tell you how loud a song feels to a person, you know? So these platforms started using LUFS, or loudness units full scale. It is so much smarter because it analyzes a song's average loudness over time, which is way closer to how we actually hear. So now, every platform, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, they all have a target level. Think of it like a loudness speed limit. For Spotify, it's around -14 LUFS. So what happens if your song is mastered louder than that? The platform just turns it down automatically? And just like that, the entire reason to crush your music into a loud, flat pancake was gone. And that brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? It leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. For decades, the game was all about being the loudest. But now that the playing field has been completely leveled, what's going to make a song truly stand out from the pack? Maybe, just maybe, it'll come back to the thing that mattered all along. The quality of the song itself and, simply how it makes you feel.
Another thing I want you to encourage you to do is join the Telegram. The link will be down below in the description. In the Telegram, I'm gonna be posting some behind the scenes stuff that I do and won't cut it for YouTube or Instagram and stuff like that. So the Telegram will be easier to ask me questions, reach out to me, and I'll be able to provide you with resources and different stuff like that, products and services that I'll be coming out with. I'm going to show you guys how to use AI and incorporate it in music production. For example, if you haven't checked out the website, Crook Productions, go check it out. I made that with AI completely for free. So I'll show you guys how to do that too. I want to remind you to subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment,